Hey, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon for this webinar on Boschendal. This is a very special one for me this week because I was at Boschendal just a couple of weeks ago and Anita was actually there on Sunday evening. So we have got updates from Boschendal, things that are happening over the next few months, things that have already happened, and also there are a couple of little things in the pipeline as well. So there's always awesome news coming out of these guys. They always seem to have something happening on the farm, something new, something exciting. So there's always lots to update on. So just a bit of housekeeping, the webinar will be recorded. We will be putting it on our YouTube channel and we'll be sending out the recording to you guys in the next few days, and we will also send out things like rates and fact sheets and all the rest of it. So look out for that newsletter in your inboxes. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please pop them in the Q&A or in the chat box, and we will get to them at the end. Obviously, if you think of anything once the webinar is over, you can always pop me or Anita an email, and we will get back to you on that. So Boschendal is located in the kind of heart of the winelands. So it's a really awesome location. It's almost equidistant between Paarl, Franschhoek and Stellenbosch. So it's a really great place to base yourselves to then head out and explore other areas of the winelands. I quite easily popped into Franschhoek for the afternoon and had lunch and a look around just in an Uber. So it's really, really easy to get around from here. We're also very close to the airport, just about a 40-minute drive, traffic permitting, and then just under an hour into Cape Town city centre. So really great access from Boschendal. We have had people who kind of base themselves here to then sort of explore the wider area, especially if they don't want to be staying in Cape Town, particularly those families who maybe don't want to be in the city. So Boschendal is a working farm at its heart. You will see evidence of this when you stay. There are chickens everywhere. There's you can cycle past the Black Angus cows. There's tractors driving around with workers going to pick fruit and to harvest the grapes. So it's there's a hive of activity at all times, which is really lovely, and you really get evidence of that working farm while you're there. So this is a map of Boschendal. This is a new map actually, so it's got some of our new cottages on it, which is really exciting. And it kind of just gives you a really good idea of the layout of the farm and how it works when staying here. So down the bottom kind of half there, we have got the entrance just here, and guests who are staying on the farm will head off to the left when they arrive and go down to the accommodation section, which is just down here near the main kind of back area. We've got the main manor house down here as well, and then the kind of food and retail precinct here too. So our two restaurants and then the farm shop and the homewares store as well. Down on this main side of the farm, we also have got the Vaff Garden Suites and then Clarence Cottage, which is our only kind of family cottage on this side. When guests arrive and go off to the right from the main gates, this takes you down to kind of the area where they do kind of wine tastings and kind of where day guests go. So any of those sort of big busloads of people, the wine tram, people like that, head down to this side of the farm. And that really helps to disperse the crowds. Any sort of big groups are not kind of around the cottages or anything like that. So it keeps it nice and separate without feeling too kind of segregated. Now, we have a main road that runs through here, and then over the other side of this road is where the kind of most of the accommodation options are. And again, what's really nice is that anyone who's kind of just coming in for the day, who's not staying at Boschendal, is kind of on this lower side of the farm here, and the upper part of the farm here is really just reserved for guests who are staying, and also, some guests might go through there to get to the kind of mountain biking and hiking trails as well. So just over here, we've got the orchard cottages, we've got the retreat cottages here on the right hand side. We've got our new cowshed cottage, which I'll chat about a bit. We've got cottage 1685 and then also the mountain villa. So I will have a chat now about the different accommodation options and kind of who they suit. starting with the retreat. So this I'm starting with because it's our kind of most newly refurbished group of cottages. So we have 18 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom cottages here. They had the extra bathroom added just last year when they had a full renovation, and this whole area has now been beautifully renovated. There is a restaurant here where guests will have their breakfast. They're also adding a lunch menu here as well. And then they've got a little boma and a natural swimming pool. This space is really great for big groups, so like wedding parties traveling together, also corporate groups as well. They've got kind of conference facilities, a cinema, and they can do private functions up here. So it's a really great space for lots of people traveling together, or I think these cottages are brilliant for families with older kids. So they've added in this sort of decked area at the front and the back, so it really opens it up for sort of outside dining and relaxing outdoors. There's also this retractable shade as well. We have a double room and a twin room. The twin has got the main bathroom, and then the double has got an ensuite. And then a lovely big living area and kitchenette area as well. So all of the cottages have got a little kitchenette and then a braai facilities as well. And also the lovely, I've actually never had to use one of the log burners when staying at Boschendal. It's always been too warm, but I was just thinking it'd be just such a cozy vibe in here with the log burner going during those winter months. So as I said, we've got the main restaurant here, which is where all guests are served breakfast. So breakfast is included in the rate for all cottages, and this is where the retreat guests would have their breakfast. There's also a lovely boma area, and then the pool as well. And at retreat, there is a reception area here, which is staffed during the days. So it makes it really easy for guests to kind of book in things like activities and stuff. And so it's really nice that we've got that point of contact on this side of the farm, because you are slightly further away from the main area here. So moving on to the orchard cottages, we have got 14 of these, ranging from 1-bedroom up to 4-bedroom. And the plan is for the 2-bedroom, 1-bathrooms, they're going to have an extra bathroom added. So rather than the 4 and 4, there will be 8 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom orchard cottages. And they are also going to be receiving a little bit of a facelift, all the cottages, when we do the addition of that 2nd bathroom in those cottages. So I love the design style here. It's really simple, pared back, beautifully, beautifully done, and they will just be sort of getting a bit more love soon. So that's really exciting. Hopefully that will be complete by kind of the spring, summer in South Africa. So looking at sort of October, November, that will be hopefully completed. Again, the cottages have all got braai facilities and also kitchenette facilities. And I think these are really lovely for families with kids, and really suit those families with younger kids, because you've got the great big lawns that kids can just run around on, and parents can sit on the veranda and the kids can just run free, which is really nice. And they sort of go down to a lovely outdoor pool area as well. And the views from here are really, really stunning. I mean, we woke up at the orchard cottages and there was a mist kind of covering the valley, and it was really magical. It just looked like a fairy tale. So moving on to the Vath Garden Suites, these are really the best suites for couples, and I wouldn't put families kind of down here. We're on the main side of the farm now, and the small garden suites are perfect for a couple, and the large ones perfect for a couple, maybe with one small child. You are really close to the main area here, so you can just walk to and from the restaurants. And as you can see here, we've got this day bed, so we can accommodate one small child, and this is in the large garden suites. There is also a communal pool here, and when you walk through from the communal pool, there's a little wooded area behind it, and you can then walk through to Clarence Cottage, which is our only kind of family cottage on the main side of the farm. So it's 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. It makes use of the Vath swimming pool, and it is walking distance from the kind of main area. Now this cottage has just been recently refurbished, and is also on request only. So you won't see it on any of our live inventory, but you can request it through the reservations team. And now my favourite cottage on the property, Cottage 1685. This is a South African National Heritage Site. It was built for Cecil John Rhodes when he when he owned the farm. He sadly only got to stay in it once before passing away, and it was designed by Sir Herbert Baker. So it's a really historic property. It's got, they've kind of, in the interiors here, we've tried to really keep that that history, even when sort of refurbishing it, which it has actually been quite recently. There are 3 bedrooms in the main house, and then there's 2 bedrooms in a kind of separate garden annex. So it works really perfectly for a family, especially multi-gen. So you can pop kind of teenagers or grandparents in the annex, they can have their own space. It's got a lovely big outdoor space and also a private pool as well. And I just love the kind of heritage touches throughout that have been kind of kept here. And obviously incredible views of those mountains as you get throughout the property. Now we have got a new cottage on our inventory called Cowshed Cottage. This is up kind of behind where the orchards and the retreat is. It's just up behind them, right at the foot of the mountains, as you can see. And this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom cottage. It's just been refurbed and looks absolutely beautiful, and it is now open and ready to be booked. So this would be so perfect, again, for a family or for even 2 couples traveling together. It is just been absolutely beautifully put together, so it really does look stunning, and has those incredible sweeping views of the valley, and lovely outdoor spaces here. We then have our mountain villa. So the mountain villa is situated up sort of, if you're looking at that map, up to the kind of the left-hand side of the map at the foot of the mountains. Now this is our largest accommodation option on the property, and it's 6 bedrooms with 4 bathrooms. Now what I will say is that the mountain villa will be leaving the Boschendal inventory, very sadly, in March 2024. So this can be booked up until March of next year. The rate here is inclusive of a host, which is the same as Cottage 1685, and breakfast will be served at the cottage. It's got this beautiful big pool area, and at the back it's actually got a private lake as well, and it's brilliant for entertaining. You've got gorgeous outdoor entertainment space, and then lots of lovely living areas inside as well. And it really is a stunning villa. So sad that it's leaving the inventory, but you can book this for groups up until March of next year. So in terms of what's included in the accommodation rate, all cottages include an a la carte breakfast. So whether that be, for most cottages, that is down in the main Bath restaurant. And then for the retreat, it is obviously at that lovely restaurant that they've got there now. And then Mountain Villa and 1685 have got their own hosts who make breakfast in Villa. So we also have a morning hike that is included as well, and that is guided. So it's really lovely to go up with a guide, learn a little bit about the history of the farm. They quite often know a lot about the fan boss as well, which is really interesting. So really interesting to sort of learn about the flora and fauna of the area. You also get a guided walking tour of the farm included, and a permit for the mountain biking and hiking trails. So guests can take themselves up hiking whenever, and also mountain biking. That's all included in the property, in the cost. So, and also that includes access to the treehouse playground as well, which we'll chat about in a minute. So the Bath restaurant is kind of our main restaurant. This is where the chefs really get to make the most of the produce on the farm. Everything in this restaurant comes from on the farm, and that is including all fruit and vegetables and the meats. Some of the fish is sourced not from the farm, but from the local area, and they really make the most of what is seasonal. The menu can change almost daily, sometimes more than daily, depending on what they can get a hold of from on the farm. So it's really, really nice to have that farm to fork kind of showcased here at the Bath restaurant. We also obviously have wine tasting, being a wine farm, and we do really cool, unique pairings. So, chocolate and wine pairing, cheese and wine pairings as well. The deli restaurant is the kind of more classic party food. It's a bit more cafe style food. Amazing coffee here, and is open 7 days a week, and for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We also have the Bath picnics, and many people know about the picnics at Boschendal. This is a really classic Boschendal offering, and it is kind of a must-do when you stay here. Even for guests kind of staying in the area, I would recommend coming down and having a picnic here. The food is absolutely amazing, and I've been lucky enough to have very good weather when I've stayed and sat out in the sun with a bottle of sparkling and having this incredibly delicious food. It's such a cool setting. The farm shop and butchery are a really nice addition for guests who are staying on the farm, particularly. You know, you have that kitchenette and that kind of bright area. So guests who have got a little bit of longer stay or have got kids and don't necessarily want to be down out for dinner every evening can, you know, get a load of produce and make their dinner in their cottage. In terms of activities, Boschendal has so much to do, and I think because it's in such a great location and there's loads of activities on the farm, you can really afford to stay here for kind of 4 nights or more. I stayed 2 nights and it was not even close to long enough. I would at least give guests 3 nights to stay here if they're not staying anywhere else in the area, so that they can kind of explore, but also make the most of being on the farm. So as I said, you have the permits for the mountain biking trails included in the accommodation rate, and then we do have a bike hire on the property. So the activity centre, you can go and hire bikes and go and explore those trails. They are quite tough. I mean, some of them are a little bit easier, but the inclines, we did go mountain biking while I was here, and yeah, some of those inclines were quite steep. We also, you can also go horse riding, which is a really lovely way to experience the farm and just the most stunning views. On Friday nights during the summer months, we have a Friday night market down in the main Bath area. So that is, you can buy food and drink from Boschendal and also from, artisans in the surrounding area, and it becomes a really cool, buzzy vibe. Even, the sales team and the marketing team quite often stay on a Friday evening to come down and have a drink here. So it's a really great vibe. And of course, as I said, farm tours where you can learn about the sort of style of farming on Boschendal. In the summer months, again, they have a drive-in cinema. So this now you don't have to drive in. This was sort of started during COVID. So actually, you don't have to drive in anymore. They have bean bags and you can get food and drink and sit down here and have a really cool evening. The main manor house, we've now teamed up with the Norval Foundation, and we have, an art gallery in here, which is changing installations all the time. So actually, when I was there, it was closed because the art gallery was being sort of switched over to a new installation. So it's always something really cool and different, and always kind of African and usually South African artists displayed here. There is also a homewares store, which is quite dangerous, I have to say. Really, really beautiful homewares in there, and a great place to get gifts as well. And then we also have the treehouse. So the treehouse, we've got a beautiful outdoor play area, and they also have the outdoor farm experience. So this is for kids aged 5 to 14, and they have actually got now a sort of section for smaller children as well. And guests can have their kids come here for a morning or an afternoon, and they learn all about the farm. They get them outdoors, kind of foraging for different foods, learning about the flora and fauna, and then they come back and make pizzas or make omelets with the eggs that they've collected from the chickens. So it's a really cool outdoor experience, and there's not a screen in sight. Kids are outside playing outside. There's also a pump track here as well, for cycling, and it's a really, really cool kind of fun morning or afternoon. The kids quite often don't want to leave. It's such good fun. So that is a quick whistle-stop tour of Boschendal. Obviously, there's quite a lot that we have added. There's a lot that's changing soon. We will also have the addition of another cottage. We don't have dates for that yet, but very excitingly, hopefully, I'm hoping by 2024 we'll have that on the inventory as well, which will be a slightly bigger cottage to kind of replace Mountain Villa, which is obviously leaving the inventory. So keep an eye out for news on that. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the Q&A now. Obviously, if you think of anything afterward, do let me know. And Blanche and Karen are actually at We Are Africa this week. So if you've got colleagues that are there, do tell them to go and drop in and say hi to the ladies there. They'd obviously love to meet and have a chat in person, as always. It's so lovely to do these, but it's even nicer to do it in person. So yeah, do tell them to pop by. We hope to see you next week on our next webinar, which is on green safaris in Zambia and Malawi. Have a great week further, and we will be in touch with more information on Boschendal in the next couple of days. Thank you.